The wagon creaked as it pulled into the edge of the dusty Texas valley. The wind swept across the plain, carrying with it the smell of mesquite and the dry scent of cattle. Clara lifted the brim of her bonnet and squinted against the sun. Her hands, rough from travel, clutched the strap of her worn satchel. This was her last stop. If this rancher turned her away, she didn't know where she'd go next. The man standing by the corral didn't look like someone who smiled much. Broad-shouldered, tall, his hat casting a long shadow across his rugged face. His shirt sleeves were rolled up, revealing arms corded with muscle and sunburn. He looked up as she approached, his eyes sharp and unreadable. "Name's Clara Hensley," she said softly. "I was told you're needing a cook." He leaned on the fence post. "You travel alone, Miss Hensley?" She nodded. "My folks passed in the winter." She swallowed hard. "I'm just looking for honest work. I can cook, sew, and mend." He looked her over quietly, his gaze lingering not with cruelty, but with the kind of measure a man gave a horse before buying. Clara felt her cheeks burn. She knew what he saw, a woman broad of hip and round of face, her dress pulled tight at the waist. The kind of woman who wasn't delicate or pretty enough for admiration. "Towns full of women looking for work," he said after a pause. "Why come all the way out here?" She looked down, her fingers worrying the strap of her satchel. "Because no one hires me in town. They all want girls with small hands and smaller appetites." His brow furrowed, but he didn't reply. "I can cook, sir," she added quickly, desperate to fill the silence. "No one loves a fat girl, sir. But I can cook." Something flickered in his eyes then. Pity, maybe. Or understanding. He tilted his hat back slightly. "Name's Eli McRae," he said. "You can start with supper." She exhaled a shaky breath. "Yes, sir." By sunset, the little kitchen smelled like heaven. Biscuits baked golden in the stove. A pot of stew simmered thick with beef and potatoes. Clara worked with silent determination. Her sleeves rolled, a smudge of flour across her cheek. Eli came in as the last of the light spilled through the window. He sniffed the air, surprised. "Smells like my ma's kitchen," he said, sitting down at the rough wooden table. Clara set a plate before him, eyes lowered. "I hope it's to your liking." He tasted a spoonful and froze. This is good." A shy smile curved her lips. "Thank you, sir." They ate mostly in silence, but when he asked for seconds and then thirds, she knew she'd done something right. Over the next weeks, Clara settled into the rhythm of the ranch. She rose before dawn, cooked for Eli and his few ranch hands, washed, mended, and worked until her hands ached. She didn't talk much, but her food spoke for her. Hearty stews, warm cornbread, sweet pies that melted in the mouth. One evening, Eli came in from the fields, dusty and tired, to find her humming by the stove. "You sing," he said softly. Clara startled, dropping the spoon. "Oh, I didn't mean to." "Don't stop," he said quickly. "It's nice." Her cheeks flushed crimson. No one had ever called anything about her nice. Summer stretched on. The land was dry and stubborn, but Clara kept the home alive. Flowers in a chipped jar, the smell of coffee at dawn. Eli started finding excuses to linger in the kitchen, helping her peel potatoes or fix a broken chair. One night a storm rolled in. The wind howled, rain lashing the windows. Clara was lighting a lamp when lightning split the sky and the barn door slammed open. Eli burst in, drenched, shouting over the thunder, "Roof's leaking over the horses! I need your help!" Without hesitation, she threw on her shawl and followed. They worked side by side in the rain, patching holes, guiding frightened horses. Mud splattered her dress, hair plastered to her face. But when Eli glanced at her, soaked, determined, fearless, something shifted in his eyes. By the time they stumbled back inside, drenched and breathless, he looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. "You're a strong woman, Clara," he said quietly. She looked away. "Strong doesn't make a woman beautiful." "Who told you that?" "Life," she whispered. He stepped closer, his voice low. "Then life's been lying to you." The next morning, Clara found a bouquet of wildflowers on the kitchen table. A small note was tucked beneath. "For the woman who makes this house a home." Her heart fluttered so hard she had to sit down. Weeks passed. And the bond between them deepened, built not on grand gestures, but small kindnesses. A cup of coffee shared in silence. The way he fixed her stove before dawn. The way she patched his torn shirt by lamplight. But one evening, a neighbor woman stopped by. Thin, pretty, dressed in lace. She looked Clara up and down with a smirk. "My Eli," she said sweetly, "you've got yourself a housekeeper built like a tank. I suppose she keeps the wolves away, at least." Eli's jaw clenched. "She keeps this place running," he said evenly. "And I wouldn't trade her for all the lace in Texas." The woman flushed, muttered something, and left. Clara stood frozen, her heart thundering. When the door closed, she turned to him. "You didn't have to defend me. I wasn't defending you," he said softly. "I was telling the truth." Her throat tightened. "Eli, why are you kind to me?" He stepped closer until she could feel the warmth of him. "Because you're kind to me. Because you work harder than anyone I've ever known. Because you make this lonely place feel alive again." Tears welled in her eyes. "But I'm not—" "Don't you say it," he interrupted gently. "You think no one loves a fat girl? Well, I reckon no one's ever looked close enough. But I have, Clara." She stared at him, unable to speak. He took her flour-dusted hand in his. "And I see a woman worth loving." That night, as the stars came out over the quiet ranch, Clara stood on the porch, the cool wind brushing her cheeks. She thought of all the words she'd carried in her heart for years. Too plain, too big, too much. And then she heard his boots behind her. The slow, steady sound of a man who'd made up his mind. When he wrapped his arm around her, she didn't pull away. "Eli," she whispered. You sure about this?" He smiled against her hair. "I've never been sure of anything, Clara." And under that wide Texas sky, where the stars shone brighter than judgment, a rancher loved a woman not for how little space she took, but for how much warmth she gave.